Welcome to Wandering Turtle. Today we're going to talk about mixing grays. You can see here under the camera that I've already drawn out a chart that I'm going to work with. And I just feel that grays are important because you can create mood and either dark mood or a light mood. With the grays, they're using shadows a lot, and they're used a lot in skies. So we're going to start with this part up here, and I am going to put some ultramarine in this. A little bit darker than that, please. I got too much water in my... Ultramarine is a good color for skies, straight. Some people use cobalt blue, which is a little bit darker than that. That is just way too wet. So I'm going to blot this, and then we'll go back and put some more pigment in. Less water, more pigment, make it a little bit, there we go, that's better. Make it a little bit darker. All right, so the first gray we're going to do is we're going to use burnt umber, and we're going to mix the burnt umber in, which is that looks like burnt sienna to me. Let's try that again. That's better. There we go. So burnt umber is a nice brown. And so what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and mix these two at a 1-to-1 ratio, or another way of putting it would be like 50% ultramarine and 50% burnt umber. And let's see what we get for a color. I'm going to get a nice mid-gray, something that's easy on the eye. Okay. And then in the next one, I'm going to again put burnt umber in. I put it. Now the pigment, it's same paint, I just really loaded the pigment onto the brush. Here, we'll darken this up so it looks a little more even. And then I'm going to put Azurian Crimson, and that one I'm going to put here to the side, just to the side, so you get a better view of what kind of red we're looking at. So that's Azurian Crimson. And then if I mix the ultramarine and the burnt umber, and once again, now I'm trying to get a balance between the three colors. Hopefully this will come out and we'll get, oh, that's really too red. There we go. You can see under here that I'm getting way too red. So I'm going to go back towards the brown and add some blue in here again. And we're going to get kind of a funky, that almost is like, that's not really what I'm looking for. And this is how you get, I've seen people mix it on paper, and you know, I don't like that at all. So I'm going to take and wipe that out of my mixing dish. We're going to start over again. Clean my brush good. All right, let's get some. There is ultramarine. Now we're going to add, boy, that's a strong, there you can kind of see a brown, like a gray like we had in the other one. Now I'm just going to touch the red because that Azurian crimson is absolutely crazy strong. The pigment is crazy strong. So let's see what we get once we put it on the paper. The reason why I put this on the paper is because I put it on a paper that I'm using. So I've got a couple of these made up because I use different papers, and so I don't want I don't want a reaction that's different on one paper and think I'm going to get the same color, because once it hits the paper it's going to change it a little bit. That one is just, I guess I could go down here. That's it. It is gray, but it's a little. This is a little browner. I add a little bit more red in here, but you end up with a warm gray. All right, and the last one in this section, I'm going to take ultramarine. Wipe my little mixing dish out. I'm going to take ultramarine and put it in my dish. Make sure my brush is clean before I go into the raw sienna. A little bit more. There. That's a good gray. That's a nice cool gray. So I'm going to put this down here in the cool gray. And I'll come back up and put a blotch up here in the raw sienna. That's almost like a deep steel gray. So, I'll tell you that the watercolors I use are Lucas brand. Lukas. They're made in Germany, and I get them through Jerry's. Jerry's is the only U.S. company that I know of that you can get Lucas products. But what a great set of watercolors. I use pan watercolors. I think I already showed you my pan, but so I just use pans rather than not too much tube. Okay. So let's go on to the second one. The second one involves the base color. The base color we're starting with this ultramarine here and going out from that. This one is Payne's Gray, and we're going to work out from that. So let's get a Payne's Gray. And this is a very pungent, it's already a blue-gray, very strong. I like to use this in stormy clouds because it works out really well. And then we're going to mix with that some ultramarine, and it's just going to take it to the blue side even more so than what we've got here before. So okay. Now we're going to see what the mix of those two looks together. I'm going to put my ultramarine blue in here. And once again, these are both pretty strong colors, so I'm not going to really add a lot of just little hints of the Payne's Gray into it until I get the color that I want. And here's what I end up with. I end up with this really nice, cool gray. So you can see that this with the ultramarine, it influencing this grayer blue and making it more of a cooler blue or colder blue. All right. The next one we're doing is we're going to take Payne's Gray and Burnt Umber. Here's the Burnt Umber. Okay. I'm going to put that in my pan. And I'm going to add the Payne's Gray to it. I like miss and miss because I like to see what I'm going to kind of get. So if I spread it out, I kind of get an indicator, even though it may not be what I want once it hits paper. This is always great to do. A good idea, a good tip is to take the color you mix before you put it on your painting, and you can see there, I'm just going to paint half that circle. Just let it bleed into itself. So you get a browner gray, but it's still a nice, I would use that maybe in forests, forest shadows, something. It makes great tree color because trees really aren't brown and they're not really any other specific colors. They are a kind of gray, at least where I come from. All right, so we're going to dab in here the Azilian Crimson, so you can and we're going to mix those two together. Take some Payne's Gray. Now I'm going to get purple. It's kind of a purple gray. And this is where you kind of... There is a show called 50 Shades of Gray or whatever it is. And it is true that there are a lot of shades of gray you can make. Sometimes they don't look anything like gray, but they are gray. All right, so let's spread this out a little bit. Pretty dark, but it's on the purple side. I tried to load it more with the Payne's Gray. Let's daub it here and see if we can release there. Now you can kind of see the red that comes through onto the blue. So this isn't a true gray in my sense, but artistic wise it is a gray. All right, last one, Payne's Gray, Cerulean Blue is going to give us a bluish gray. I'll mop out my dish. Get some Cerulean Blue on here. And you can see right off the bat, this is a good sky color, just like cobalt blue and ultramarine. So one artist I heard, he claimed that he never uses this blue in his skies because it's not a sky color. However, I would disagree with him a little bit on that one because I think that that blue shows up in our skies a lot. Maybe not direct, but if you look at this, I mean, to me that looks like sky gray or sky blue. So, all right. So now we're going to mix in the Payne's Gray, and this is a really pretty gray. I like this gray. All right. So that's just a basic on mixing grays. We're going to look at some swatches later on and In the next episode, we're going to start using the brushes, and we'll see how we can take maybe some of these colors and make them into simplified object drawings like cylinder, cone, squares, cubes, rectangular prisms, and see how we can use maybe these grays to shade them. So thank you for watching. I appreciate your subscriptions. I hope this is fun for you. This is fun for me. I know that it's kind of bleh. In some respects, people want to see you paint, and we'll get there. I just would rather see you start out with the basics. This is the last of the basics, though. Thank you very much. Join me again, and have a great week.